Hey everyone, Doug from Convology here, and today we're going to look at Thrive Quiz Builder and how to create something called quiz funnels. This video is going to be an overview video, show you how to set up and use Thrive Quiz Builder, the basics of creating a quiz funnel, and some of those fundamental things that you can get started on right away. And we're going to go through the whole process of getting a quiz set up, put on your website, connected to an email service provider. Again, it's kind of like that 30,000 foot overview level. And then in the future, actually the very near future, because I'm working on it right now, I'm going to release more of a workshop course about how to really get in, deep dive into using Thrive Quiz Builder for quiz funnels and things like that. But for now, this is a free training to kind of get you started. I know many of you looked at the Ask method. I think it was Ryan Levesque's quiz funnels that he was putting together, and you were looking for an alternative to that. And I wrote a blog post, you should see it here on the screen, about a Bucket.io 2.0 alternative called Thrive Quiz Builder. So go ahead and take a look at this blog post. I'll put the link in the description. I'm going to walk you through basically what a quiz funnel is and using Thrive Quiz Builder as an alternative to this. So if you're just looking for kind of like an introduction to the concept, I definitely recommend you check out this blog post. But for getting things set up and running and to decide, one, if Thrive Quiz Builder is for you, or two, if you have Thrive Quiz Builder and haven't gotten started yet, stay tuned. You won't want to miss this video. Okay, so here we are in the dashboard of WordPress looking at Thrive Quiz Builder, which is a plugin for WordPress. It's built by Thrive Themes. They build an entire suite of plugins based off of their original Thrive Themes, now Thrive Theme Builder, and Thrive Architect, their page builder. They're one of the market leaders, and in my opinion, the best and fastest page builder and set of conversion-focused plugins and tools for WordPress. So if you're not a member yet, definitely check it out. I'll put a link for that in the description as well. But for Thrive Quiz Builder, this tool allows us to create quizzes. Now, that terminology, quizzes, can be a little bit misleading because it's not just a quiz, and it's not like a test at all, in fact. Quizzes has kind of become synonymous with let's ask questions in order to segment and get a granular response. But Thrive Quiz Builder can also build open form surveys where someone can just type in a response and not get an end result at all. So that's some of the things that I want to walk through first in Quiz Builder. So once you've installed Thrive Quiz Builder and you go to the Thrive Quiz Builder dashboard, you'll see that you have a couple of options here. First things I want to walk through are the interface. In the upper right-hand corner, you have a section called Reports. If you click on that, this is where you're going to find all of the data for people who have taken your quizzes. There's a setting that we'll walk you through as well that shows you how to create profiles on users who take your quizzes. This is where you're going to see question breakdowns and so on. Under Settings here, there's really only one setting, and I'm not sure why they have a settings section to just have this up there, but it's a toggle to display powered by Quiz Builder. I just recommend turning it off. Now, let's go back to the main Quiz Builder dashboard. The first thing you're going to want to do, I recommend watching this quick tutorial right here that they link to. It's actually pretty good. The second thing you're going to want to do is click Add New Quiz. So now we get to look at the quiz types. Well, this isn't the quiz types. This is kind of like getting started. So the first thing you can do is build a quiz from scratch, or build a list building quiz, or a social shares quiz, or gain customer insights. So a couple things here. If you're going to build a quiz to use as lead gen, which is one of the biggest reasons you'd build a quiz funnel, or if you're going to build a quiz for shares, no matter what you do, I would always just start from scratch. You can click list building, you can click social shares, but all those two options really do is turn on a feature that you can turn on building from scratch anyway that we're going to walk you through. The Gain Customer Insights option, however, does kind of set things up to be more of a survey format. So if you just want to ask questions and get free-form responses, there's nothing wrong with clicking on this option, but you can also accomplish it building from scratch. So for this tutorial, we're going to click on Build from Scratch. And what's really cool is no matter which option you choose, they have some videos for you to watch. Again, Thrive does a great job. I'd recommend watching all of them. So building this from scratch, let's go ahead and give our quiz a name. We'll just call it Quiz Funnel Tutorial. And now we're presented with a few options, and Thrive Quiz Builder is going to walk us through these options with these little black bordered, black background sections that are actually kind of strange, but essentially they kind of get you started with a green dot telling you where you need to go. So the first thing we have to do in setting up our quiz is we have to choose a quiz type, and then a quiz style, and then a social share badge. So with our quiz types, we have numbers, percentage, category, right, wrong, and survey. So if you want to learn more about these in more detail, I do have that blog post I mentioned before where I walk through all the different types. In fact, let's just quickly jump over there and take a look at the different types right here. So if we want to create a number quiz, this is if you're going to show your final result as a number, like how many of these types of mistakes are you making in your digital marketing? Or you can show it as a percentage quiz. This is like you got 66% of the questions correct. And the category quiz is one of those like, what kind of funnel tech stack is right for your business? Or you've probably seen the weird ones on like BuzzFeed. It's like, what Disney princess are you? Right? Those are the category quizzes. And then you have your right and wrong quizzes, which are pretty straightforward, right? You get a question right, you get a question wrong. How many did you get right and wrong? And then in the same time as they answer them, you can give like feedback and say, nope, that's the wrong one. Here's the right one. And here's why. You can give feedback. So that's a pretty quick breakdown for you. And there are plenty other examples. But for this type of quiz, for a quiz funnel, I like to think of a quiz funnel in the most elementary form as a way for people to segment themselves, to give me info about their business, but also for me to define a result at the end that they're going to want to obtain, right? So if I'm taking a quiz and I want to get to the end, I find that a category quiz is the best place to start. That's just my recommendation, right? Again, as a reminder, this is the what kind of tech stack is right for your business, or what kind of Disney princess are you, right? So whatever the end result is, they're going to know what category they fall into. Or this could also be what product is right for you. And I do a lot of work in the medical industry. So whenever I create quizzes, I tend to cater more towards procedures, right? So for a lot of my doctors, people go onto a website trying to find out, are they a candidate for a procedure? Yes or no? Or I have a problem or an indication, a health issue. What surgery or what procedure or treatment will help me solve that problem? So the category quiz is a great option for that. So I want to start with category because a couple of things we get to show you in this, like setting categories and things, are just great for the walkthrough. Now, in my workshop that I'm creating in my course, I'm going to walk through all of these, but for this tutorial, we're going to focus on category. So now we have to set up our categories, okay? So this is where we're going to give those end results. And a nice way to map out your quiz funnel is to start at the end and to decide, where do I want people to end up? What results do I want to give them at the very end that they're going to want to find? So for this one, we're just going to keep it simple and we'll call it category 1. We'll add another one, call it category 2. We'll add one more, call it category 3. Now, when somebody answers a question, do you want to show feedback? This is like if I selected option A on a question that had A, B, and C, it's going to say, like down here, right, a little message when they select the option. I don't want to display feedback. I typically don't like to do that in my quizzes. But if that's something you want to show feedback to, that's where you would set it. And then you would choose how long they see that feedback for until they go on to the next question. Or you can say they have to manually progress themselves to the next question. That's actually a really cool feature they recently added. But for this, I typically say I don't want feedback. Now, the next thing we need to do is choose a quiz style. The quiz style is what our quiz is going to look like from a fairly rudimentary level. So these previews right here are pretty spot on. If you choose Lush, it's going to be this purple to blue gradient look, which I actually think is the best looking one. There's Minimalist, Deep Ocean Blue. Both of these look fairly corporate to me. There's Gray Orange, again, pretty corporate. And then Dark, which I don't think looks good at all. And Light Blue, which is just your really, really basic, that I think looks pretty good on most people's websites. But something they just added a couple days ago was the ability to take the minimalist design and customize it so that you can choose the colors of the buttons, the fonts being used, and things like that. So I think that's really cool, and that's something that I'm going to click on. I'm going to choose this one, and this is how we're going to build our quiz. This is going to be our style. So let's choose that. Now you'll notice they kind of glossed over this social share badge. Personally, this isn't my thing. I don't create quizzes to be shared on social media. That's not really what a quiz funnel is. That's more like a viral quiz. We're not going to focus at all on social sharing. I'm not big into it. I'm more into lead generation and segmenting my users so that I can get a more effective email list or to get more granular leads. So that's what we're going to focus on. We're going to gloss over social share. But that is an option that I will likely dig into in my course. So you'll notice the tutorial now on step 3 takes us to our questions. So this is time for us to input our questions. And as I mentioned before, you want to be thinking about the end first, right? Keep the end in mind. So if somebody were to be, let's say, under our categories, right? We did category A, B, and C, or 1, 2, 3. This would be, okay, what do you have to do to be category A? What do you have to do to get to category B? So let's go ahead and click Manage. And this is what we call the canvas. This is the start of your quiz, and the end of the quiz is basically when someone hits the end and then satisfies the quiz to basically give somebody a result. So there's really only one thing to do here, and that's to add a question. So if we click Add Question, we get 3 options. We can do multiple choice with buttons, multiple choice with images, or open-ended questions. Now for a quiz funnel, I would recommend going with multiple choice, either with buttons or images, maybe mix it up. Open-ended question is more of like, I want to get a little bit of info, I want to leave like a, and do you have anything else to tell me kind of question. This is more for you rather than for them. And I find that quiz funnels work better when they're built to give the taker information rather than you. So I would say, let's go with multiple choice with buttons for now and press continue. So now in front of us, we have the question builder, and we can have 3 different types of questions, right? A lot of people miss this up here at the top because it's pretty subtle. You can do text questions, video questions, or audio questions, which is, I think, really, really neat because most quizzes you see are just text questions. But if you chose a video question, you could upload a video. It can be from YouTube, Vimeo, Wistia, or a custom location, which simply means a link to like an MP4 video that you've hosted somewhere like Publitio or Amazon or something like that. But YouTube has the lowest barriers to entry and it's free, so most people do YouTube by default. You paste your URL in there. You can give it a style, which is super cool, I think, like the gray monitor background. That looks pretty snazzy. You can do like a tablet or just a gray frame, which I think actually looks nice within a quiz itself. But if that's your thing, go ahead and do a video question. They also have the same thing for audio, Spotify, SoundCloud, and custom, and then text. So I've gone ahead and populated this question with something that actually looks or should look pretty familiar, right? This is the Ask Methods questions that they ask on their homepage when they want you to download their lead magnet. They pretty much just have a one-step question that says, which of these best describes where you're at with your business? And the answers are, I'm just getting started, I'm in the early stages, I work with a small number of clients, I want to sell to a large number of customers, or I specifically help run marketing for others or want to do this. Now, these are pretty good questions, which is probably why you see them all over the internet, right? People typically copy from the teacher or the person that taught them the questions or how to use the system. But they're pretty good, and they're pretty good for a couple of reasons. The first one is that somebody falls probably within one of these 5 questions. And the other reason why they're so good is because if you think about a quiz funnel, it's very easy for us to segment people into lists. It's very easy for us to take the people that respond to each of these and to categorize them as somebody that we can market to in different ways. And that's one of the key things for quiz funnels. And one of the recommendations I give you when creating a quiz is to try to avoid too much overlap in your questions. Every question that you ask should help somebody self-segment themselves into a different bucket. And we're not going to go too deep into questions and how to write great questions. That's something I think a little bit, probably something a little bit too much detail that I'll put into a course. But for now, just take that little nugget and say, okay, I need to write questions that really break people into groups because that's the point of the quiz funnel. And we have a really interesting tool here called tags that helps us accomplish that. So I'm going to toggle on the tag feature here. And when I toggle on tags, you'll now notice that beneath each question, I have the ability to put in a quiz. And if I hover over this little question mark, it says, visitors who choose this answer will be assigned the following tags. And the green message at the bottom says attaching tags allows you, if your mailing list or your mailing program and API support it, it will push this data automatically into your email provider. So if I were to think about tags that would apply to these particular questions. So I'm just getting started and need to figure out which market to go into. If somebody answers that question, maybe I have a tag in my email marketing provider called newbie. I don't know, I'm just gonna make some things up here. Or if someone says, I work with a small number of clients in a deep way and want more leads, perhaps we would categorize this person as, I don't know, a coach or a consultant. And these are just examples because I think that if I were making this question, I would have asked something a little bit clearer first, like what type of business are you? And then where are you at with your business? And that would have given me the ability to tag in what type of business they are. But you can kind of get the idea that you can put tags in here, and these tags will then be passed on, and you can run separate drip automated campaigns from your ESP, email service provider, directly to these people. So let's go ahead and just leave the tag under newbie for now, because I want to show you how that goes into my email provider. But essentially, we also now have this other section called category. If you remember, we created a category quiz. So if someone answers category or answers this question should indicate that they belong in category 1, and this one to category 2, and this one to category 3. And I could have selected whatever order. And I have to say one thing that I think is important is when you consider the outcomes, I tend to like to have questions. The number of questions match the number of results or the number of categories. If not, you have to start thinking about question overlap, which I think gets pretty messy. And then you have to consider things like weights, right? Like if someone answers this question, weight it 5 points towards category 1. So this puts them more in category 1 than maybe this one does if I were to choose the same category. And it gets really, really messy from there. You can make some pretty robust quizzes with weighted categories and weighted answers and things like that. But I really think that's overkill for most people and for most quiz funnels. So I like to recommend leaving that off and just focusing on keeping your questions and categories one-to-one, so that as people go through your questions in conditional logic, it becomes pretty easy to drop them into buckets. I think that's something you'll also notice, like if we reference the ask method, right, in this blueprint. When you come here and you click download now and they ask you questions, they really only have one question, and that is which of these best describes your business? What stage are you at? You can say, I'm just getting started, and then they want your email right away, right? If we came back here, we refresh the page, and if you said, I'm answered it this way, they still just want your email, right? Because all they really want to do is market to you in a way that fits what stage you're at the most. If you're just getting started, it doesn't make sense to give you information in an email targeted towards somebody who already has clients, who's already doing business. They're going to give you resources and market to you in a way that is more appealing to somebody just starting out. So think about those things as you create your categories. If you make a quiz that is 15 questions long, 1, people aren't going to want to take a 15-question quiz, but 2, it's going to become pretty hard to keep track of dumping people into the right buckets. So that's my little bit of advice. Now let's go a little bit further and take a look at the canvas here. If we were to add another question, again, I'm going to show you the category questions here and choosing the answers. You can add images to your questions, right, by clicking add image. And again, we can add tags. And one thing I do want to point out, let's go ahead and add a test question here real quick. I'm going to add a couple answers because I want to show you how you can branch people off. Okay, there's this question, and I'm just going to duplicate this one. So now when someone answers a question on the first question, right, let's say they were just getting started, these little circles, you can connect the trees between questions. In fact, you can even connect the same answers, or you can connect 2 answers to the same result, rather. So I could have those 2 go to that answer, and if someone answered one of these ways, I would simply drag the circle down to here. Now, what if I had another question? I'm going to duplicate this again for simplicity. What if no matter how they answered this question, I wanted them to go to this answer or to this question? So I would simply drag, I don't know if you noticed that, there's the circles under each of the answers, but there's also a circle under the entirety of the question. The little circle under the entirety of the question means no matter how they answer this question, they're going to progress to the next stage. I actually really, really like this method. I think going this way goes back towards creating confusing quizzes that are going to confuse the heck out of you and overcomplicate it. I like to say, no matter how they answer this question, they go to the next question. And why is that okay? Well, if we go back into our question here, push the pencil to edit, we're tagging people along the way. So we're already learning information about them. and we're able to associate a category to them without branching off conditional logic. But if you have a very robust, complicated quiz, totally. If you need to ask a follow-up question, let's say somebody said, I don't know, like, I'm a coach, right? You could ask if they do in-person coaching or virtual coaching, if that would affect the type of answer you would give them or how you might market to them. So for us, because we're building a very simple quiz funnel, we're just going to ask them a couple questions. We're going to tag them so that we can get data on them, and we're going to then push them through to the next step. So just real quick, I'm just going to answer or put in a couple options here so that I can show you what it's like when somebody gets a result. So now that's pretty much it. Just here on the right hand side, you can kind of see a question flow, what's connected, and you have the gear here. You can show a progress bar so that people can see how many questions they have left, and you can customize this progress bar to the colors of your brand, right? So if it were me, I would do 47776BB, and that's my blue, that's Convology blue, and maybe I'll do this color more of a gray, like that, so that they can see what they've completed, how much this question will complete, and then the overall remaining questions. So that's not too bad. We can leave that enabled. And then we have the enable quiz scroll, which I think is helpful, and that just helps keep the quiz on the screen. So then we can click save and exit. Now that our questions are done, we need to decide how we're going to get this person's information and what we're going to show them as the results and how we're going to show it to them. We have a couple of options in Thrive Quiz Builder. The first one is to send them, after they've answered their questions, directly to a results page. We can do that by pressing Manage under Results page, and then this blue pencil icon. Now on the results page, it's pretty simple to get started. You have the ability to make a statement, right? If this were the Disney Princess quiz, I might say congratulations. But if this were more like a quiz like I've built, which is helping people find out what tech stack is right for them, I might say, the tech stack that's right for your business is the ThriveCart tech stack or the WooCommerce tech stack or whatever it might be that I'm trying to funnel them into. So the default here is going to show the person the result, and that is the category 1, 2, or 3 that we set up, right? But for you, this could be targeting people who are accountants or lawyers or starting their business or veterans, things like that. But this is going to display the name of the category. So you fall into the category name. We have the ability to add dynamic content on this page. If we open up the element tree on the right, search for DYN for dynamic, drop in the content, we have the ability to add content that's specific only to the category that they were funneled into. So this content here will be unique to category 1. This content here will be unique to category 2. And this content here will be unique to category 3. Now, once you have this results page looking however you want it to look, you can do something like adding a button for them to go learn more, or you could add a form like a lead gen form. So if I were to type lead, you could add a lead gen form, ask them to opt in with their information to join your mailing list about that. This is a really passive way to do this kind of lead gen. This is more a quiz funnel that I might do if I were working for like a doctor's office, right? What I do for my medical clients is I usually put like a lead gen form at the bottom, and this might say, congratulations, it sounds like you're a great candidate for, I don't know, whatever the procedure is, right? Like this particular surgery. If you'd like to schedule a consultation, fill out the form below, and then I can embed Fluent Forms, or I can use the Thrive form, whatever I want to do. And that way the person's like, oh, yeah, wow, great. I didn't realize I would be a candidate for that procedure. Yeah, let me give the office a call or fill out the form. So I'll say a couple of things. This method works really, really well if you are trying to get somebody to take an action like coming into an office. If you're trying to put somebody onto an email list and you're trying to tag them, remember we filled out those tags on those questions. If you're trying to push somebody into an email list, what you're going to want to do is not send them to a dynamic results page like this. Instead, you're going to want to send them to a specific page catered more towards the particular category that they've self-segmented. So for example, somebody answered the first question on our quiz we built together. They're going to be tagged as a newbie, right? That's the little tag I put on there. And instead of landing here where it's like, congratulations, you're a newbie, you want to fill out the form, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense for what we're trying to achieve. Instead, we're going to have them fill out the form with their name and their email, or just their email. Our system will automatically feed that tag into the email service provider. In this case, I use ConvertKit. And then we can have it redirect them to a custom page all about their particular result, right? So let's show you how to do that. So instead of having them answer those questions and go to the results page, we have the ability to add what's called an opt-in gate. Now, really quick, before we add an opt-in gate, I do want to say that if you did not want to send people to that results page in Thrive Quiz Builder, you could funnel everybody to a page, no matter what result they got, and then put the form. Sometimes I like to do that so that it feels wrapped and branded right on the page. But for now, we'll just leave that as a results page. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to add an opt-in gate. Now we have something that's in between our questions and our results. In fact, we're going to phase out the results entirely in this demonstration and show you just how to get their info. So let's click Manage under Opt-in Gate and click the pencil. And I also want to point out here we have a couple of options. We have a checkbox to create user profiles, where in the reporting section in the top right, remember I showed you that at the beginning of the video, based on the email people provide us, we can get profiles that we can view. We can also push all that data here. We can run A/B test variations. This is again why I love Thrive, because everything they do is conversion focused. Gives you all the tools you need all in one. So we have the ability to clone, reset stats, and archive a variation. But let's go ahead and edit our variation 1 and take a look at what we have here. So we have the option to give info whatever we want to say, right? I'm just going to leave it for the default for now. We have the opt-in, or the ability to skip this and go to the results page. But remember, I don't want them to go to the results page. This might work really great if, again, this were a quiz like, let's say it was for a medical office and I was trying to get people to sign up for my email list and then send them to a page that's like, yep, you're a candidate for a nose job, want to schedule a consultation. Well, if they didn't, at least I got their email. But this doesn't make a whole lot of sense for a lot of the traditional quiz funnels where no matter what, we need their name and email. So what I'm going to do is delete this text here. This is just a hyperlink that goes to the next step. I'm going to delete that. So they have to give us their info to move on. So this could say something like, we've identified the perfect tech stack for your business. Give us your name and your email, and we will give you the results, or something like that. Right? Come up with a clever way to get them to give you their info. If we jump back to the ask method, it's just like, you got to click continue to complete. That's pretty simple, right? We can do that too. So here, what I want to point out is we have a couple of options because Thrive is really nice. We have the ability here on the left-hand side to use templates, and the templates allow us to choose something a little cleaner, right? I like to go super clean. So that's a really clean, give us your email to continue type thing. We also have the ability, if we click back onto our form, to change the colors, to add an API, to do HTML code, and so on. So let's take a look at that API. That's where we're going to send that data to our email service provider. So for me, I am going to add a connection. I'm going to use ConvertKit. It's what I use for some of my bigger businesses. And this could easily be SendFox. This could be ActiveCampaign. This could be MailerLite. Any number of those big named email service providers. Thrive integrates with all of them through their API dashboard. Just click this link, choose the one that you have, enter your API key, and you're good to go. It'll bring you right back here. So there's two more settings here that I think are important. The first is we could send the quiz result as a tag. So if someone were my ThriveCart tech stack, right, it would tag them ThriveCart tech stack exactly as I typed in the category. That can get pretty messy. That might be great for people that are just starting off, like, okay, if someone took my quiz and they were a lawyer, an accountant, or whatever, because I self-segmented and identified, and maybe that's how I had my categories, that might make some sense. But I typically don't do this. I typically leave that off because that just gets messy in my ConvertKit account, which doesn't have great tagging to begin with. So instead, I leave it blank. Or we have the ability to manually tag. Now, this is what might be nice to do. So anybody that takes my quiz, we'll call it, let's just say this for my tech stack quiz. Anyone who takes my quiz, no matter the result, no matter what other tags they might get, also tag them as tech stack quiz, because I can email now everybody that took my quiz and maybe advertise another webinar. Maybe say send them an email 2 days from now letting them know I have a Facebook group. That might be pretty good. So I like to do that. I like to add a tag here for the name of this particular quiz, and then click apply. Now, you might be saying, well, what about all those other tags that we put into the questions, right? Like if category 1, if they chose that, they were a newbie. Well, those particular tags are automatically going to be pushed through the API, so we don't have to worry about them. We just have to trust the system works. Now, the last thing I want to show you is this option right here, after successful submission. We have 2 options: show a success notification, which you should never ever use because it's terrible, or redirect to a custom URL. Use this one. Hit apply. Now we have the ability to send them to any page we want to send them to, completely customized for the people that took this quiz. Now, that's cool and all. Anyone that took my quiz can go to a page where everybody sees the same result. Maybe that's I've automatically enrolled them in a webinar. Maybe I'm telling them about my Facebook group. Maybe I'm just, giving them info and telling them that they're going to get an email. But let me show you a really cool trick, and that's to add something called dynamic content. Again, I showed you this on the results page, but we're going to use it here on the opt-in page. Why? Because we can put our opt-in directly into our dynamic content so that category 1 only sees this form. Category 2 sees this form. I hope you're catching on to why this is so cool, because now we can have this particular form go to a completely different email service provider if we wanted to. What if I wanted the certain people to go into SendFox? Maybe they just get a 1 email follow-up because maybe they're not the core of my business, but the meat of my business goes into ConvertKit. Well, then I can do that. And what if I wanted to give them a different tag? That's an awesome, powerful, robust integration by using dynamic content. I hope this excites you as much as it excites me, because the ability to dynamically route them to a different form has so many applications. And then we can do the same thing for category 3. That is really, really cool. Now, for each of those forms, don't forget you also have to set up where they go. So the last really neat thing I want to show you on these forms is, let's say that for category 1, I'm going to redirect them to, a page called category 1 on my website. Okay? So in this case, it would be mywebsite.com/category 1. I want to send form values to my thank you page, right? Because then I can see those variables. Let's say I wanted to personalize that result page. All I would have to do is add another field, make it the name field, right? We'll edit that so that it says, what's your name? And then we'll drag it up to the top. Now, well, that looks terrible because the button's in the wrong place, so we'll put it back down at the bottom. Now, I can say to somebody when they go to my thank you page, now I have the ability to customize right here on the left the variable because I'm passing this data on to the next page. That's really cool. And if you haven't figured out how to use that yet, I'm going to show you that in a course and a workshop that I'm putting together. It's really, really cool. I hope you'll sign up for it and check it out. But for now, we're going to leave it at that with the sign up form and say we can send them wherever we want them to go when they complete the quiz. So again, to recap, someone that gets category 1 can go to a page all about category 1. Someone that gets category 2 can now be redirected to a page all about category 2, and so on. And those pages can be personalized. So the last thing that I want to show you in this overview tutorial of Thrive Quiz Builder and building quiz funnels is how to then take your quiz and put it into a page. We're going to stay pretty 30,000 foot overview on this one as well. When you get back to your quiz, in the top right section here, we have a shortcode. We can copy that shortcode and we can put that onto any page on our website. We also have the ability to use Thrive Architect, so let me quickly show you what those two things look like. So now I'm editing a page using Thrive Architect, and I've copied my shortcode for my quiz that I've put together. Now I can put that quiz anywhere I want. So let's say that I wanted to place it right here within my page. I can simply drag a text element, drop it in, paste in my shortcode. Maybe I'll center it just because. Press Save Work and Preview. And now my quiz has been embedded right inside of my page. We didn't make any edits to the colors or any of that. But let's say I didn't want to use the shortcode. Let's say instead I'm a Thrive Architect user. I can simply come in here to my elements, search for quiz, drag the quiz element onto the page anywhere I want it to go, choose the quiz that I created, and it's instantly within that page as well. That's really, really cool. Thrive Leads users will know exactly what this is. I'm just choosing the template that I want to use for my Thrive box or my lead box group that I'm creating here. I'm going to choose a blank template. Again, I could choose any one that I want. And I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to search for quiz, and I'm going to drop my quiz directly onto my pop-up. So now I have a light box that I can fully customize. I could make the background any color that I want, and someone can take my quiz. As you can tell, you might want to keep your questions a little shorter and have fewer questions so that it looks a little nicer if you're going to go with this route. But you can have a light box come up, and when someone pushes a button on your page, it brings a light box with the quiz. This is also a really awesome option. It's exactly what they do here, right? Button to click to bring up a quiz. So we can do the exact same thing using Thrive Leads for our light boxes, or we can do the same thing using Thrive Architect and use the Thrive boxes. A little confusing there, but the option is available. All right, everyone. Thanks for hanging in there and watching this 30,000-foot overview of how to begin to use Thrive Quiz Builder to set up your quiz funnels. I'm going to have a much more in-depth tutorial coming in a workshop. It might even be a multi-part course that will be available to you to sign up for. If you have any questions at all, don't wait for the course or the workshop. Reach out to me, leave a question below in the comments of this video or on convology.com, and I'll be happy to point you in the right direction for how you can use Thrive Quiz Builder to start building quiz funnels. But that's going to do it for me today, guys. Again, this was Doug from Convology, and I'll see you in the next video.